Have you any idea how many different chemicals are used in the engine room these days? Some suppliers have over 100 different chemicals they can sell you just for use on ships. Of course, these chemicals are very useful, but some of them are a little risky. They're a little bit risky to store, they're a little bit risky to use, and we need to be careful of how we dispose of them, because some of them can harm the environment. Of course, the problem is that on board the ship we are very busy people. We are using these chemicals every day as part of our routines. We are cleaning machinery with them, using them to treat sewage and fresh water. They can even be added to the fuel to help us burn it more easily. Sometimes we are very aware they are strong chemicals, for instance when we use them for boiler water treatment, but sometimes we forget. Here are a few examples of what can go wrong.
An engineer had been pouring chemicals from a storage container into a flask. The right precautions had been taken, and the engineer was wearing goggles and other personal protective equipment, PPE. However, when the right amount was nearly in the flask, the engineer removed his goggles to check. When the flask was put down on the bench, some liquid chemical splashed out and hit him in the eye. It only takes a moment to have an accident, so always wear the correct PPE and keep it on until the job is finished. We sometimes need to use quite powerful solvents and carbon removal chemicals in the engine room. However, these chemicals will do more than just clean and remove carbon. They can damage the skin and lead to serious skin conditions such as dermatitis. Avoid contact with chemicals. Wear rubber gloves that can resist chemicals, in addition to using barrier cream. Use a chemical-resistant apron or any other recommended extra protection. And make sure your overalls are clean. We'll be saying more about this as we go through the training.
Yes, we should all know the risks, and all chemicals should always be labelled. The labels might vary a little bit depending on where and when the chemicals were made. But in case you have any doubts, here are the common ones.
Most chemicals, to varying degrees, are poisonous, either through swallowing them or even just by skin contact. This is why they should never be put into unlabeled containers where they might be confused with food or drink. Many chemicals can cause irritation or swelling of the eyes or skin. This includes certain cleaners, fresh water and boiler treatment products. Some chemicals are strongly acidic or alkaline and can cause burns. Strong acids are often used in boiler water test kits. The rule here is to add the acid to water and never add water to strong acid. This reduces the risk of splashback and overheating. Oxidizing agents can react with other substances and other chemicals, bringing a risk of fire. Chlorine tablets used in the final stage of some sewage treatment plants and for swimming pools on passenger ships are one example of an oxidizing agent used at sea. Most boiler chemicals, chlorine tablets, and some commonly used cleaning products are harmful to the environment. This means that we have to be careful how and when we use them, and how we dispose of them or any waste that contains them. Paints and solvents are probably the most common flammable chemicals you might meet on board, but they're not the only ones. Because of their flammability and the quantities often carried on board, paints and solvents are normally stored in a paint locker where there's better fire containment and fire suppression than elsewhere. It is unlikely you will see this label on chemicals used in the engine room, and such chemicals should not be stored there. This sign for long-term risks was introduced as a new additional sign when the international labeling system was revised. Be careful. Many safety data sheets refer to there being no known risk or no data available, because there have been no proven links between a chemical and cancer or respiratory problems. However, as with other substances such as tobacco or asbestos, it may be that such links will become obvious over time. The best approach is just to avoid direct contact with chemicals.